Hi and welcome to the Ahrex headquarters. Today I'll be tying one of my flies. It's a sandeel pattern. I've been using this for quite a while now. It's a well-fished one. It's called the Morten Valeur. To get this fly right, you need to get the proportions right, and there's a few things you need to do to make that right. For myself, I made this board I have here in front of me. I do this pattern, as you can see, in 3 different sizes. This is in centimeters, but you probably get the idea. So I have it in 8, 12 and 16 centimeters. The one I'll be tying today will be the 12 centimeter one. And the reason why I have this is just to make sure that I get the sizing right every time, or more or less. It's not my goal to have all flies exactly the same, but I want to have the length right every time. I can add sometimes more materials and less materials to get some slim ones and fat ones if I need that. But I want the length to be around the same on every fly. So today we'll do the 12 centimeter one. And then we'll do it on, I'm tying this fly on the Ahrex NS110. And for the 12 centimeter size, I use a size 4. For the 8 centimeter one, I use the size 6, and for the 2 centimeter one, I use the size. The 16 centimeter one, I use size 2. The reason why I've chosen this hook is it's a pretty heavy one, and it got some keel to it. You can use the saltwater hook as well, like the SA220 or SA210 if you prefer that. If you fish in waters with more salinity than we do here in Denmark. But for me, this is the perfect hook for this pattern. So it's a pretty basic fly, you can say. It's very much inspired by the old flat-wing flies that Ken Abrams made back in the days. The only thing is that this fly is more like a tent. The hackles are placed more like a tent on top of it. But apart from that, it's very much inspired by his old patterns. And many patterns following that one. So tying thread is white, as you can see, just like that. And already here we come to one of the very important things about this fly, is selecting the bucktail for this fly. So I can't just use one bucktail. I need actually to have 2 different tails here. Because what I want for the tail of the fly will be some thin, long, and not too air-filled. So I'm looking for hair on the top part of the bucktail. That would not be so air-filled, it will not flare when I tie it in. So I'll be using this for the tail and for the wing. For the throat hackle, I'll use this one, but I'll get back to that when we get to that point of the fly. So I just cut off a small bunch of white bucktail. This is pretty long. I could have used a tail that's where the hairs is slightly shorter than this, but I don't have any, so I need to use this one. It's actually maybe a little bit of misuse to use these beautiful long fibers on a smaller fly like this, but that's what I have. So just measure this. This should be a 12 centimeter fly, as I said. So I don't want to have the tail to be too long. The feathers I'll put on as tail will be slightly longer than the bucktail, and then the wing will be even longer. So the total should be 12 centimeters. Now I've done a few of these, so I know approximately how long this should be. So this is not far off. I'll just remove a few short fibers there and then cut off the excess. Leave a lot of room here in front of, see I have maybe 3 millimeters, 4 millimeters here in front of the bucktail. I'll leave that so I can add the wing and all that. I leave a lot of space in front of the bucktail when I get there. Just tie it back like this. And you can see here, because I've chose the bucktail I did, it doesn't flare. So you have pretty straight fibers, and it really is a good base for the feathers I need to put on in a moment. Then I'll just go back to the front, add a little bit of flash. It's not a lot. The one I use here is a mix between pearl and silver, and it's probably not more than just, I don't know, 5-6 fibers. I don't care too much about that if it's 5 or 6 or 7, but not too much of it. And I want to have the fibers to be uneven, so I pull them a few of them, so you get different lengths on the flash here. Just like that. Here we go. Just double them on the thread, like that. And then you go back here. And you can check maybe some of them a little bit too long or too short. I think this looks actually quite nice. I would just maybe want to shorten a few of them a little bit. Looks all good. Now I need to add the first set of feathers, like a tent, as I said. I use a key of saddle hackles. It's this one is an olive, and I use a gray for the back later on, but this is the olive for the tail. I prepared a few already, but what I want to do here is I want to use the length. I measured the length, so when I tie this in, I'll actually be tying in on the soft part of the feather here, like that. So when you measure the feather for this fly, this is slightly too long for this size. It could maybe work on the 16 centimeter one, but that's what I normally do. So I end up tying in just above the fluff you have on the hackle. So that's not what I normally do. So I'll put this away and take one of the ones I've already prepared, which are right in size. So you can see here, if you want in detail, that I've cut it off just above the fluff. I made sure that I have left a few, what can you call this, a few bits there from the feather, just to make sure that they actually sit there. So what I do, I normally tie in the feather furthest away from me first, which always is the most tricky one to get in right. Just secure it with a few wraps. Check if it looks like you want it. You want it to be like tent. And you can see here, the hackle is just slightly longer than the tail, white bucktail. That's how I want it. And the same thing for this side. Turned out pretty nice. If you don't get it right the first time, don't bother. You can just take it off and try to tie it in again. It is always a little bit tricky to tie in saddle hackle when you have a round surface like you have when you have the bucktail tail. But I think this turned out okay. So we'll just leave it like that. And if it doesn't look completely right, I don't think it matters at all when you're fishing. So this is more for you and maybe for the friends who look at your fly box that it looks right. I think the fish doesn't care, to be honest. I just go forward here and then we'll prepare the body. What I use here for body is, I really like this material. I've been using this for, I don't know, 25 years or something. It's Lagertun mini flatbraid. It's super durable. It's easy to work with, and it comes in many different colors. So this will be the body. You can, if you want, you can do 2 layers here. It's not a cheap material, so I'm a little bit cheap here. So I only would do 1 layer. But I want to attach it in front here to get an even surface for when I wrap it forward. And I go back here and then front again here, up to the front. when I do one layer, you just need to be a little bit more careful so you don't see any openings anywhere. You want it to get it right. There we go. Just cut off the excess here. What you can do here if you want to add some durability to the body, you can cover this with varnish or UV glue or something like that. It is a durable material as it is, but I sometimes add some varnish just because I want my flies to last like forever. I do like fly tying, but I like fishing more, so I like my flies to last long. So, but in this case, I just leave it as it is. So this is the first part of the fly. If you want to, that's the reason why I have this board here. It's if you want to check, you can just do like that, and you can see, okay, I still got like 2 centimeters in to get the full length of 12. So now now I know how long the fibers for the hackle on top of the fly should be. So it is just a way of, you know, making the proportions and length right. So far so good. As I said early on, I need to select another bucktail for the throat hackle here. I want to add some volume. I don't mind it's flaring a little bit. So I'll choose the bucktail from this part of the tail. If you're interested in bucktail in general, I can highly recommend to go to Gunnar Brammer's channel. He has an extensive intro to bucktail. I've watched his intro many times and learned a lot from just watching that and the different properties of different parts of the tail. So it's good stuff to watch. So I'll just choose a bunch from below here. It's a little bit more fluffy, this one. So I'll pull out some of the longer fibers here. I don't want it that long. And then I'll have a look here. When I tie it in, I want to have the, it's probably easier to see here. I want to have the tips to reach approximately the middle of the tail. That'll be the right length. So that will probably be here that I will tie it in. But before I do that, just to make sure there's no stray fibers and stuff in here, I just comb this out, so like that. Double check, yeah, the length is right. Then you do like this, place it here, then 2 loose wraps, and when you pull upwards like that, and then 1 more pull. Then you make sure that all the bucktail now is underneath. There's nothing on the sides. There's, you know, it's not rolling anything like that. So remember this, it's quite important. You can, for sure, you can just tie it in and adjust it afterwards, but it's just nice to, you know, do it like this and set it right the first time. And what I normally do here is I want to make sure that it has the right length. So I normally just take the fly out of the vise and put it back in so I can have a look and see. Yeah, that's not too bad. I'll just make 1 more wrap. And then what I do here is just to make sure that I have the thread away from the bucktail, and I'll just do like that. Just leave that there, that's no problem. Just leave that there for now. We'll make the head in the end. So that's the throat hackle, and now we will make the wing. Same materials as we used for the tail, long, straight fibers with almost no air, so it'll be quite condensed and not flare. Same thing again, we need to make sure that we have the length right. So here I want, remember the length of the tail was there, the throat hackle is there, and this one should have approximately somewhere in between. You can see the tail is there, then we have the wing, and then we have the throat hackle there. So that gives the fly a nice taper when the whole fly is finished. So this is what I will do. Again, could have used shorter bucktail, but I didn't have any, so we're doing like this. Same thing there, 2 loose wraps, and then you secure it. Don't mind, it looks a little bit high now, but that'll be fixed when we put in the feathers and all that. No worries about that. If you want to make sure that this lasts forever, you can put in a little bit of varnish on Sabagap or whatever you prefer. I'm normally not good friends with Sabagap, so I tend to have it all over the place. So I use my old varnish here. It smells better as well, you know. Not healthy, but it smells good. I'll just make 1 or 2 more wraps here to make sure it sits there. So, next thing, I already prepared these. We need to put on the, oh sorry, I forgot one thing here. We need to add the flash first. Same thing as we did with the tail, just 4 or 5 strands of flash. Same thing here, I want to make it uneven a little bit, like that. Double them. Don't make too many wraps here, you need 2 wraps to secure this because it's double around the thread, so you don't need a lot of wraps. And now to the hackles, sorry about that. Same thing here, we will start with the hackle fiber on the first away from me. And here you can see, if we look at length again, when I measured the fly on the board, you could see that it was missing approximately 2 centimeters in length. And this is exactly what I get from this feather. That's the additional 2 centimeters. So we end up with a fly that's 12 centimeters long. Same thing there, we want to have it tent-like. I think that's okay. You can probably see this better than I can, so I trust you guys that it's as it should be. Same thing here. Yeah, it looks decent enough. Good enough for me and the fish at least. I think this one should be point a little bit more upwards, like that. And then you can maybe, just to make sure that they sit right, you can make a few more turns on the thread there. So far so good. Next thing, I'll add 2 gray feathers to get, that will be the back on the sand eel. That's what I'm trying to imitate. So this will be the back eventually. But it's same procedure as with the 2 first feathers. We'll just place these on top of the olive one. Tent-like again there. Yes. Make sure you're happy with what you're doing. same thing here. I can see here that I cut this off a little bit. Too little, I'll do it like that. Good stuff. And you see already now that the bucktail is actually pushed down a little bit, so it looks better than when we tied it in. So all I need to do now is just to put on a little bit of peacock herl. And here's, if you can buy the best quality you can get out there. I was lucky enough to buy this bunch, which has some really nice, quite thin peacock herl as well. I really like this, so look for the best quality you can get. It's really worth it. Same thing with bucktail. You need to pay attention to the quality you're buying. I pulled out 4 already from that bunch there, and same thing there. I don't want to have it, you know, the same length. I'm fine with some of them are shorter, some are longer, so we get a nice taper on this as well. And same thing here. It will look strange when you tie it in, but once you fished it, it will look quite well. So I think this is approximately the same, the right length. I want the longest one to be approximately the same length as the olive feather we had on top here. So I'll just do like that. Few wraps, position it right, and pull it a little bit and see, yeah, that's okay. And cut off the excess. So all I need to do now is just to finish up the head. This head will be, compared to many other flies, pretty big because there's a lot of material we've tied in there. But don't mind, it's a big fly, it will still look good, I think. Just build the head nice and slowly. I think I'm pretty happy with this. Just finish it off. Then Barnaby. I think I'm happy there, and then just finish it off here. There we go. So this is the finished fly, and once this has been wet once, it will have the same shape and look like the one we had. I think this was the one we looked at the beginning. It will get the right, you know, the right shape and look good. And I'm sure this is, we can measure. I think this is how it should be. 12 centimeters. Yeah, exactly. I'll just finish this fly with a little bit of varnish on the head, and it's actually ready to fish. As I said, this has been a go-to pattern, especially this year, and I had some really good fishing with this one, both for sea trout and sea bass. But this will work anywhere in the world where you have sand eels, and you do have sand eels in most part of the world. You just need to tie it in the size that you need for your water. So this was what I had to offer. Good luck out there.